Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Catching the Curb, brought to you by Curbstone Coaches. And we have a very special guest this time, a guy who Bob Camardo says that nothing runs without him, a guy that is kind of like Batman. He's always in the shadows, but always doing good for those in need. Ladies and gentlemen, this time we bring in one of the superstars of the Curbstone Coaches, Mr. Tom Miller. Tom, how are you, my friend?
Thanks, DJ. Thanks for the invite, too. Doing well, thank you.
I'm good. Well, it's great to hear that. And naturally for you, you are the go-to. You are the guy that makes everything run with the banquet. Let's start there. What year will this be for you in running the banquet?
This is my fifth year, my fourth year coming up on myself. I did with Helene Salrino, God bless her. She had passed away. Her and I did we were joint co-chairs for the banquet, and she taught me a lot, and I remembered it. And like I said, she had passed away, and I'm doing it on my own right now.
So for you, there's so many challenges that come with throwing together an event. I'm not an event planner. I've had to do a few in our day with all-star games and things of that nature. Nothing that holds a flame to what you do each and every year. What's the most challenging part for you in putting this banquet together?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, it's been really flowing pretty good lately together. It starts with this past banquet the Monday after I started already. I had my speaker in place already. That's going to be Greg Pruitt next year, and I sent him a friendly text saying you're on the clock now for next year. But the hardest thing is probably working with the inductees. And by the way, I got my inductee selection committee all set to go. We'll be selecting the 2025 class on November 21st.
Awesome.
They're all ready to go. But getting a lot of the inductees, they have questions, and they're always afraid it's a bad question. And I babysit them. I said, no, it's a perfect question. Whatever you need done, can I get a table? Can I sit 9 at a table if possible? Fine. I got a 5-year-old niece coming. Can I take care of that? Fine, no problem. Bring her. She eats for free. We do that. Like I said, about the speaker, I'm already 2 years out. For all you Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there, in 2026 will be former Pittsburgh wide receiver Louis Lips.
Hey, thanks for thinking of us.
I got to take care of the Steeler fans out there. They've been very faithful. They come to the program every year, and I got a few more Browns lined up. I got Kevin Mack sitting back up there. He wants to come up. Joe. I'm sorry.
It's Jim Leland, right?
Oh, yeah.
Jim Leland was out there.
Jim Leland's Pittsburgh. I got a long shot for you Notre Dame fans out there, and that would be Rudy Rudiger. His speaking fee is outside of my range, but I heard he's not speaking lately, so he'd really settle for anything. So that's something way out there. Another former Steeler, for all you Steeler fans, and I got it through this year's speaker, Gene Steratore. He knows Jack Lambert really well.
Wow.
Former monster linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I hear he's a good speaker. He shows no emotion when he speaks. He's just one of those guys. But when he speaks, everybody listens. So we got that working on. But I'm always working on somebody. I'd like to get a lady speaker somewhere down the line. I'm thinking of maybe a former golfer or something I might try to get. Or a former basketball player. I'd like to get Caitlin Clark, but I'm sure that's a tough pay there.
You said your range. Obviously, there's a monetary value that you have to pay for a speaker to come in. How challenging is that nowadays with inflation and things like, and not to get political, but like to have somebody come speak for 20, 25 minutes and no question and answer, no anything like that? How challenging is that to get somebody lined up?
It's so fun. Like, it started with Hanford Dixon, and I pulled up Hanford Dixon one time. I got Hanford Dixon Industries, so I got a cell phone number. So I called it up. I said, "Is this Hanford Dixon?" I said, "Yes." I says, "I'm Tom Miller. I'm down from Youngstown, Ohio. We have a Hall of Fame ceremony every year. Would you be interested in being our keynote speaker?" He goes, "Well, put it in a letter form and send it to me, and I'll get back to you." I says, "Okay, we'll see what happens." I wrote a nice letter, typed it out, sent it up to him. Within a week, he sent it back. He says, "I'm interested." I said, "I could sign you up right now." He goes, "Put me down." I said, "I'll pay you this much." He goes, "I'll take it."
Wow.
And that was really good. And like I said, I had him, and he helped me get Greg Pruitt for this year. And then I also saw that coming to Austintown this it was past summer. Was it in July? I remember DJ
Yep.
at the Hollywood Gaming.
Yep.
That Hanford Dixon was going to be there with Lewis Lips from the Steelers. And so I got a hold of Hanford Dixon again. I said, do you know Lewis Lips? Because I know him well. And I says, can you put in a good word for me? I'd like him to be a speaker. And when I said it, I texted him. I said, I should give you a finder's fee. He goes, yes, you should. But he was really good about it. And then I sent another letter to Lewis Lips because his address was given to me by Hanford. And he said he was coming down to Youngstown. He'll be at the Hollywood Gaming on that one Sunday in July. And so I went there and I introduced myself to him, and we talked for 15, 20 minutes. And really nice guy, class guy, said I'm good for 2026.
That's awesome. That's phenomenal. Now, I hear that you're a world-renowned boxing judge as well. That's the rumor mill.
Yeah, about 350 fights ago. 81 world titles, 24 regional titles.
Wow.
Yeah, it was something.
How did you get into that?
Back in 1992, I was helping Tony Majorana from Girard, who has passed away. He was a trainer. And I went to a Junior Olympic tournament. Junior Olympics is for kids who are 8 years old to 16 years old. They were boxing in the Lake Erie Association Junior Olympics tournament. And so what I did was I went up there for the show, and they said they needed a extra judge. And I said, Tony, I said, what do you think? He goes, well, you've been around here long enough, you can do it. So my first fight was on a Saturday in May in 1992 when two 8-year-olds who were fighting one minute rounds. And it was so funny because when they were between rounds, when they go back to the corner, the trainers have to pick them up, put them on the stool. That's how small they were. Their little legs were dangling down there. They all had these nice little boxing shoes. And then I did that. And then the following week, a guy named Clytie Dunn, who was in charge of the officials, said, would you want to do this on a regular basis? He goes, your scores were very acceptable last week. Because of that, not only did I do 8-year-old, the two 8-year-old, I did about 15 other fights too. There were 16 fights that day.
Wow.
And so he said, fine. So I got into doing that. One time, I met somebody, Art Mayorga. And he helped me out, and he told me that, would you be interested in doing professional? So I said, okay. So I went to the state of Ohio. At that time, it was being run by Blackie Gennaro. It was the Ohio Boxing Commission. And they were located over there on the north side of Youngstown. So I went in there, and I said, can I have an application? They said, you have any experience? I says, amateur experience, I have none. Pro experience. I said, okay, here's the application, fine. So I gave it back, and then about a month later, I got called for a show down in Steubenville. And it was my first pro show. There was 8 fights on the night. My scores were all acceptable. And then I got rolling with them. So at this point, I'm doing amateurs, and I'm doing the state of Ohio. So my friend Gene Glenn from Cleveland, he said, would you be interested in being a judge for the WBO? I said, I'd love to be a judge for the WBO. So he says, we're having a convention. It's in Puerto Rico. It's in a month. You got to apply and send your credentials in, and you'd be accepted. So I did that, and I was invited to the WBO convention down in Puerto Rico. So I did all the paperwork. I went to the seminars and everything, and so I came back, and this was in 1994. So I had another fight in Steubenville, and they invited me to do a WBO title fight, middleweight title fight between champion Lonnie Bradley against challenger Lonnie Beasley. And I did that fight. My scores were acceptable. It was good. It was on USA Tuesday Night Fights. It was on that show. So I did good. So I was doing, now I'm doing amateurs. Now I'm doing State of Ohio. Now I'm doing WBO. So I got another connection. I'm at a fight show in Vegas and talked to a friend of mine from Connecticut, Glenn Feldman. He goes, would you be interested in doing IBF? I says, fine. Again, they're having the convention. You got to attend the convention. I was invited to that. I went to the convention. They liked what they saw from me. I went to do the seminars. I did well in the seminars. Lo and behold, 2 months later, I get my first IBF title fight. So now I'm doing amateurs, Ohio, WBO, IBF. A year later, same situation. Steve Weisfeld from New Jersey. Would you be interested in being a judge for the WBA? I said, sure. Again, you got to attend the convention. You'll get accepted. I applied, got accepted, went down there, did the seminars, did all the work together and stuff, did the talks with the officials. And probably that one was about 3 months later. I got a WBA title fight. again, my scores were acceptable. Now I'm doing amateur, State of Ohio, WBO, IBF, WBA. So I'm doing it, and about another year later, I get invited to a WBC convention. And that was in Mexico City. And I went down to do that. And when I got invited to that, again, I go to the convention, do the seminars, do the chats, and I was accepted there. And probably several months later, I don't remember, I got my first WBC fight. So now I'm doing amateurs, State of Ohio, WBO, IBF, WBA. And the last big one to get picked by was the IBO. They didn't have it. They didn't have a convention, but they needed an official for a fight in Pittsburgh. They had a IBO title fight in Pittsburgh. They said, "Would you be able to go down there for?" I said, "Sure, I'll go down there for you." So I went down there. I met the supervisor, and he gave me a nice IBF patch, and I put the patch in my pocket in my jacket, and I did my IBO fight down there. So now I got no more fights. You know, my wife says you can do the WWE as well. I says no. This will be it. So I'm doing amateurs, Ohio, and 5 sanctioning bodies.
That's incredible. All right, so this is going to be a tough question. All those fights that you saw, is there one that stands out to you and why?
It was the second fight between Manny Pacquiao and Juan Marquez Jr. When I got there in Las Vegas, I was working this fight with Dwayne Ford and Jerry Roth. They were probably in their late 60s at that point. They were the two most outstanding judges in the world. And when I found out that I'll be working with them, it was great. When I got there, I met them. I asked them for their autograph. I had them sign the back of my score pad, and they autographed it for me. And that was a great fight. It was the second fight. So when they announced the scores, it was 116, 112, Pacquiao, 116, 112, Marquez. And I knew Michael Buffer was going to say the last one would be Tom Miller. And I knew I was a tiebreaker. And I scored at 115, 114. The biggest difference was Marquez was knocked down the one time, and so I had to knock down. So it would have been a 114, 114 if he didn't get knocked down. But like I said, I was 114, 113 on my score. And I got to work with Jerry Roth. I got to work with Dwayne Ford. And my scores were acceptable to that night. I was not the lone wolf out. The lone wolf is if you score a round, you're by yourself. The other two had the other fighter. Every round, I was not the lone wolf. Those guys were lone wolf in a couple of rounds.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a big one. I'll share this with you.
Sure.
My payday was $7,000 that night.
Good on you.
Yeah, so that was the biggest fight. And I had the Klitschko's in there, both brothers, the Klitschko brothers. I had Miguel Cotto in there. I had who was in there? I said Manny Pacquiao. Mm-hmm. He was in there. Miguel Cotto, he was in there. Evander Holyfield, had him.
Oh, wow.
Oscar De La Hoya, I had that fight.
Did you ever get a Tyson?
No, he was done fighting when I was doing it. Yeah.
What about Kelly? Did you ever get a Kelly fight?
I did his when he was doing before title fights. I couldn't do his title fight because that would be conflict of interest.
Oh, gotcha.
From living here in Youngstown.
Fair enough. All right, so you said you got a nice payday for the one fight. You don't get much of a payday, if at all, for doing what you do for the banquet. What keeps you coming back, Tom, year after year?
It's the challenge of, I like to see everybody happy. I like to see our account. We get some money in our account. We're able to do things, programs. We're able to donate some money to nonprofits in the area. And it's just, like I said, it starts the Monday after we're done. I will get a hold of next year's speaker and say, you're on the clock right now. And it's just the thrill of getting it done. Everyone says, how do you do it? I have a system, and my system works. And, they say, if you need help, let me know. I said, fine, thank you. But if you want things run the way you want to run them, you got to run them yourself.
No, that's great. Tom Miller, I can't thank you enough for the last 15, 20 minutes sitting here with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Great stories. We'd love to have you back if you
sure.
would be willing. Tom Miller, the GOAT of so many things. We're going to unravel this present here over the next few months. Tom, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, TJ.